What's up, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about some big news that came out involving Tesla, what you should be watching for as time goes on. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offer ends in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with Tesla and the markets. So, as far as Tesla goes, I want to say that right now it does look like Tesla will attempt to gap up. It's approaching this $440 resistance, and we'll have to see if we could break past this to get up to 442, eventually the mid 440s and 450. Now, I'll be talking about these levels in just a couple of minutes, but I first want to talk about some big news that's come out. The first thing is a really good piece of news right over here. So, Tesla is in a very, very nice position for strong AI growth and potentially a $2 trillion market cap by 2025. And this is something that's very important that was said from an analyst known as Daniel Ives. He is from Wedbush, and he is saying that Tesla has not only a buy rating in his eyes, but has a $515 price target. That's very, very bullish and a great piece of news, in my opinion. He talked about how they're going to be looking for a big potential increase in their financing, especially as we're looking for an increase in FSD penetration and the launch of new products such as the Cybercab and such. He's also very excited because this is a big price increase because he mentioned, for example, he saw the 400s before. This was actually a couple of weeks ago. We also saw Morgan Stanley say the same thing, and that price target has been made by Tesla. Now we're starting to see more analysts suggesting that $500 or so is very possible. So very, very bullish news, at least thus far. On top of this, there's some news coming out that Tesla's Texas lithium plant has begun its operations amidst the market oversupply. And they made this announcement on Twitter that they're going to be feeding raw materials to their refinery for the lithium plant just outside of Texas for the very, very first time. Increasing lithium refinery capacity is very critical to help them maintain sustainable energy. So that's some very, very good news for them. I think that this is expected to continue up until like 2027. So great news, at least for Tesla thus far. Now, there are some analysts talking about how Tesla could be announcing a lower cost Model Y in 2025 as well, according to some research firms. This isn't guaranteed. I didn't really hear a whole lot from Tesla itself, but there are analysts who are saying that going into 2025, they could be also announcing another variant of their Model Y that's a lot more affordable. Also known as the Baby Y is what they're kind of like referring to it as. And they're basically saying that this could be like a lower price crossover of its Model Y to fill the space below the $45,000 mark. And depending on how much cost they could get out of it, the new model could rival the updated Chevy Volt and many others like that. Just want to call that out. Good piece of news, at least for them. Now, today is Monday, December 16th, 2024. Just know that at 9:45 a.m., that's 15 minutes after the stock market opens, we have the S&P Global Composite Manufacturing and Services PMI. So 15 minutes after market open, look for some volatility. This might affect SPY and the others. Besides that, I didn't see much for earnings. For the most part, earnings are quite minor. Just keep that in mind. And then for our data, just know that this is going to be the last full week of trading for the month of December because next week we have Christmas and the market's going to be closed for some days. So this is going to be the last full week. We'll see what this leads to, especially as we have the FOMC meeting later on. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy. I didn't see anything else that's too insane on the news, so I'm just going to focus on charts. So at this point, Tesla's going to be testing 440. We'll have to see if we could hold above this or not. If we don't, there is this gap to fill down here towards 436, and the next support is going to be at 434, and then 430 below that. We could see it retrace just a bit to 436 or so, 440 doesn't hold before it attempts to continue to push. But overall, it is more bullish. I want to make that very, very clear. We like to like pop and shuffle in the mornings before we try to push towards the end of the day. That's been what the trend has been like for the last couple of days. So, Tesla could retest 440. If it doesn't hold initially, we could grab liquidity around 436. Just keep that in mind. But then as long as we're above 440, if we like kind of dip just temporarily and get bought back up and hold 440, we could easily continue to start pushing for 442, 445, and then 448 is our potential targets, and eventually 450. So there's going to be some tight resistances, but overall it remains more bullish. So in the morning, look for a pump, a drop, a lot of shuffling around this 440 area, up or below by about 4 points. And then as time goes on, we could attempt to start pushing much higher into these higher levels, closer to 450. So look for some shuffling in this morning period, and then we'll have to see how it goes from there. But overall, it could be on its way up to 450 over the next couple of hours, if not later on for the week. But it looks bullish nonetheless, and I think we're holding up quite well. SPY is attempting to rebound. I do want to mention that there is an imbalance over here. As long as SPY does not lose 605, now it could attempt to continue. I did mention to everyone I was expecting SPY to rebound a bit, but to be careful, because if we couldn't sustain the level, there's going to be that risk of us coming back down. Around 602 to 603, we get bought back up, and we tend to reject near 608. So this could attempt to fill this imbalance, get back up to 606.8, eventually 607.5. So it's possible we try to push closer to 608, but be careful, because every time we hit 608, we do reject, at least for the last couple of days. So we'll have to see if that ends up being the case or not, at least for how things are moving. There is potential in this to try to continue to push a little higher for 606.8 or above. So look for a small push in SPY. If we break the resistance near 607.5, we could push even more. So just keep that in mind. And we'll have to see how high this basically goes. Now, we were making lower highs if you look at SPY, so be a little bit careful with it. But as of right now, it's going to attempt to try to break these highs. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. But look for a little bit more upside. ES has the same thing going on. The last time we hit the 6,050 area, we did bounce. So this could attempt to get closer to about 6,080 or above, towards the higher 90s. But then we'll see where we end up projecting, because it was making lower highs the last couple of days. We'll see if we try to break structure right here. And if we do, we could be on our way up to close to 6,100 if we break and hold above 6090. So look for some upside for 6080 or above, and then we'll have to see if we reject or not. So give this the time it needs. For Nvidia is trying to rebound. As long as we do not lose 132, we could attempt to get back up to 135, then 137. I see potential in this, and I think that this could attempt to push just a bit. However, because we did test 132, we'll have to see how well we could hold above 135. So look for a small rebound, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. For others out there, we have Bitcoin. This pumped very nicely. Now it's starting to dip, so it might get a retest of 102.54 before it attempts to rebound again. Look for a small dip. It might be retesting our 20 EMA, and we'll see what the reaction happens to be like. For NQ, we look more bullish. Could be looking for 22,000 as a potential target. It's still making higher highs and higher lows. Hasn't lost support here. It actually dipped a bit and then got bought back up. So you guys could see it tested our 20 EMA only to bounce, so it does look a bit more bullish. QQQ dipped a little bit right here, then it got bought back up, so it's still bullish. There's no sign of rejection. If we lose 527.68, we could turn back down, but there's no sign that we remain bullish, and we could be looking for 535 as our target and 536 or above, so it still remains bullish. Apple, I could see this retest 247 just kind of continue to shuffle here, but look at the range between 247 and 250. We're going to likely be range bound for now, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get. For the IWM, we're trying to rebound here. Can we get back inside of the channel? We'll have to see about that, so be a little bit careful. We came down to my target already. We hit 232, came just short of the 200 EMA. So if we get back above this, we could be retesting 235. Coin is just shuffling here. As long as we don't lose 312, we could attempt to bounce for 323. Amazon's trying to bounce here. As long as we don't lose 227, we could be on our way back up to about 230. If that breaks, 232.5 plus is coming. Meta is doing a good job so far. As long as we don't lose 623, we could be favoring a pushback for 635. Microsoft looks a little concerning. We do still have that head and shoulders. As long as we don't lose 446, this could attempt to rebound for 450. But if we lose this, we could be dipping lower to this imbalance. Just keep that in mind. And then Google, as long as we don't end up losing 190, this could attempt to bounce near this area and make its way up higher for essentially 195. So watch and see if that ends up being the case. Anyways, guys, that's it for my video. I want to thank you all so much for listening. Tesla's doing a good job so far at holding up and attempting to pump. Let's see how well we hold above 440 to remain bullish. So give this the time it needs, and we'll see what happens from here. Anyways, There could be some shuffling near this 440 area to start things off. It is a new level. Tesla's never been here historically. So if we do grab liquidity around 436, it would be normal. But then we could attempt to balance and continue to pump as time goes on. All right. Thank you for listening. Tesla's bullish overall. If we do shuffle in the morning, we could still try to run in the afternoon. So we'll see how well we hold. And I'll see you guys very soon.